Hello, everybody. My name is Ray. Welcome to the Evangelical Dark Web. Today, we're going to be diving into what might be the biggest story remaining in the year, and that is David Sills suing the Southern Baptist Convention for defamation. Now, I wrote this article over the weekend, and I'm going to do a follow-up article basically saying that David Sills is like the next Johnny Depp, but in the church. And I think his lawsuit of defamation will have wide-reaching implications. This is very huge because David Sills has been maligned as a sex abuser for a situation that in no way meets the definition of sex abuse. It just simply doesn't. He is alleged to have had a 12-year-long on and off sexual relationship with a woman named Jennifer Lyle that began when she was 26 years old. And the Southern Baptist Convention has called him a groomer. They have called him a sex abuser. And now he's suing him back. He's suing them back. And I gotta say up front, I don't think there is an ecclesiastical recourse for suing a parachurch organization. There's no local church to operate through. There's no presbytery to bring charges across a region. And so the only place he has recourse is the pagan court system. It's just the way that it is. But they have maligned someone. They have inflicted damages on someone by labeling them a sex abuser, when it turns out the allegations of what he's accused of aren't sex abuse. It was adultery. There's a difference. One's bad, but the other's worse. So, let's just go to my article. So, David Sills sues the Southern Baptist Convention, and there's about 11 defendants in this lawsuit that they filed. And they filed this lawsuit in Mobile, Alabama. So, put a pin in that because we're going to circle back to that detail in a second. So, this is according to Baptist News Global, who kind of broke this story. Now, David Sills and Mary Sills contend that they have been smeared repeatedly in the process and seek monetary damages from the SBC, the Executive Committee, former President Ed Litton, current SBC President Bart Barber, Jennifer Lyle, Lifeway Christian Resources, Eric Geiger, a former executive vice president at Lifeway. He was the person who fired or accepted the resignation of David Sills, by the way. Willie McLaurin, who's the interim president of the executive committee. Roland Slade, former chairman of the executive committee. The Southern Baptist Theological Seminary, Al Mohler, president of Southern Seminary. And Guidepost Solutions, the law firm that conducted the independent investigation. And that's in quotes because it wasn't really an independent investigation. It was an investigation used to forward an agenda of Rachel Den Hollander theology in the church. Now, I've done multiple videos on this topic. The Southern Baptist Convention has a lot riding on Jennifer Lyle and her victimhood status. They want to paint the convention as a hive of sex abuse and sex abuse cover-up, despite the fact that the data does not bear that out. It really doesn't. When your primary victim in your sex abuse task force report is Jennifer Lyle, a adulterous woman, that's not good. That's not good for the narrative. But the Southern Baptist Convention is invested in redefining sex abuse. And now this redefinition has resulted in the defamation lawsuit that they feared would happen if the National Convention were to act on sex abuse cases. This is pretty ironic. It's kind of going full circle because the Sex Abuse Task Force report notes that the executive committee didn't want to tackle this issue because they were worried about defamation lawsuits. If we just circulate a list calling people sex abusers, we could get sued for that. That was the executive committee's logic in the past. And it turned out the list was public domain anyway. So That was in the past, and now the Guidepost report comes out, and now they're being sued, and Guidepost is being sued as well. This is a major lawsuit in the Southern Baptist Convention. It is pretty much up there, if not even higher than the McRaney lawsuit. It's very much up there. So it's huge. It's huge. So a couple more things to note. One, David Sills contends that he never had a sexual relationship with Jennifer Lyell. That is huge also. I have largely assumed, based off the narrative that Jennifer Lyell peddled, that this was a consensual sexual relationship. But what David Sills is now arguing is that this was not a sexual relationship. It was a consensual but inappropriate relationship for a married man. So similar to what Matt Chandler was recently punished for. Another thing to note that he filed and noted, and Baptist News Global also cited this, was that when he tried to break off the relationship, Jennifer Lyell kept pursuing the relationship, even going to his family. That's something that David Sills notes. So, seems pretty crazy, but that is in the report. So, one last thing, we're going to go back to that Alabama detail that I talked about. So, David Sills and his family live in Mississippi. So they filed this lawsuit in Mobile, Alabama. Why is that? So Baptist News Global states that it's because Ed Litton's lives there, a bunch of other SBC entities are there. That's the stated reason. That's the stated reason probably in the court filings. But the real reason, and not to sound arrogant, but the real reason is that I believe Alabama has more favorable defamation tort laws than Mississippi. And for that reason, it is more strategic to pursue this lawsuit in Alabama than it is to pursue this lawsuit in Mississippi. So I believe the statute of limitations is longer. Not that there's any risk of a statute of limitations. He's filed this. The Guidepost Solutions report came out in May of 2022. We're just over 6 months from that, give or take. So he's well within the statute of limitations on that issue. But there's other issues going back prior to that you'd want to be more having the grounds to file a lawsuit on. And that is where Mississippi does not have the edge here. I also believe that the case that they have to build is superior in Alabama because there's less of a right to recant. There's a pretty simple burden of proof, in my opinion. So this is going to look like the Johnny Depp trial. I'd love to see a live stream on this by Nick Rekieta, but we'll see. Can't wait to see how this story pans out. If you like this kind of content, also subscribe to the channel. Evangelical Dark Web is a news gathering and commentary Christian ministry, and we are funded a couple ways, but one way that you can support us is through evangelicaldarkwebs.org/join. You get access to more content, some polls, some extra stuff to help guide the decision-making and content that I produce and my team produces. So you can support us that way for as little as $5 a month or donate what you want. Or this is free. Sign up for the newsletter or the Telegram. Both and all these things are linked in the description below. Have a blessed day and let me know what you think about what I think. I will catch you on the next one.